earlier this week.
So Jon Stewart is...
All right, let's see. 1 second. Here we go. 3, 2. Oh, my buttons working. Yes, they are. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. My camera doesn't work. Hold on. Back to 1. Back to 1. We have to do this. Why is the camera off? Three, two, there it is. Okay. Sorry. Welcome to the show. I look so much better with this kind of lighting as opposed to just a big spot where I used to be. Welcome to the show. Happy Tuesday. Happy primary day across the country. There are 4 or 5 states where we, in particular, here at HAL SPARKS Mega Worldwide, amongst our chat room and the regular recurring compatriots who join us here, we celebrate particularly today because this is a day where not only is there a great epic battle of Eric on Eric But there is also a series of Trump internalized popcorn fights between the full-blown maggot and the insufficiently loyal maggot. Now, it's one thing I think we can look with a little bit of sadness to the likes of Liz Cheney having to fight off the Trumpians in her in Wyoming in particular, and it's a little depressing when you look at the quality of the people that she's up against and who she's trying to be, and all right. I mean, with all the baggage that Liz Cheney has, but it's completely joyful, I think. An absolute fun fest. Why did this fall over? Actually, hold on one second. This is all tied together. Chip has been in here, and I know what's going on, and I know that that's happening. There we're good. Okay, we're all right. Okay, good. That's that. I could always tell when Chips jumped up on the desk while I was not around. You could tell. Anyway, so hi. Yes, Eric on Eric Crime is a beautiful hilarity that's going on right now. On top of that, but like I said, we can, I think, completely relax and enjoy when the uber maggots are fighting off the quasi maggots. And like, I mean, I don't know who to root for. I mean, even the Democrats in some cases have been supporting the ultra MAGAs, which, by the way, Trump has taken as a positive. He's decided somehow that ultra MAGA works for him. It's like a furtherance of what he's about, and that's, it's anything with uber, ultra, mega. Well, not I've got that TM'd across the board. It can't use it. There will be no mega MAGA. Wait a minute. Maybe there should be a mega MAGA. There possibly. So the mega MAGA, man, it's not that bad. This mega MAGA, ultra MAGA, however, is actually a ultra MAGA. Sounds like a dish soap. It totally does. MAGA, come loudly, come quietly. That's what happens. That's what they say when what they call it when a maggot is arrested. MAGA, come quietly. So, ew. But the ones, the irony of the Mo Brookses of the world who are being taken out by these like psychos who are unelectable on almost every measure in most situations, but in the if as long as Democrats vote anywhere close to the numbers of last time. We don't need the numbers on the same level as 2020, but if we're even in the fucking ballpark, in any of these areas where they're running one of these super maggots, honest to God, we got a swinging chance at shifting districts like crazy. It's one thing to be kind of like, I've always felt that the stories of the future demise of the Democratic hope in November was always a question, was always, an exaggeration. And I felt pretty good about it across the board. I even feel good about Biden's numbers spring of next year, which is when they start to matter again. But what really is trending is, and you can see it in the fundraising, but you can also see it in the actual attitude of voters, is you've got the abortion issue in Kansas, for example, within the margin of error in a state where they should be running away with, getting rid of the constitutional protection for it. And they're not. So I'm sure everybody will be watching at 8:00 tonight. There will, Steve Kornacki is going to be, pulling in the numbers and all that kind of stuff. So right at the tail end of when my show usually ends, we'll end up having that. People will be traipsing off to go watch that. But again, this is a primary, so I'm not too wrapped up in how it turns out for a lot of these folks because it's pretty normal. There's a couple of progressives that are going to get knocked out of their, that are getting primaried by moderates. That will probably have more of an impact this fall in retention than you might think. So they might hold, Dems, an area where it looked like the Dems were going to lose the seat because Republicans have put a focus on it. That if a more midline Democrat ends up taking the primary, there's a very strong chance will retain the Democratic seat, which would be a huge, believe me, there'll be a lot of garment wrenching and freaking out about if there's a drinking game around hearing the term corporate Dems, you'll die of alcohol poisoning within hours of watching anything on the young twerps. So, which, by the way, hello, welcome to the show. I'm HAL Sparks. This is HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. I do long form videos. I take clips that the right and others post, and I go through them and I fact check them and I make jokes and do all that kind of stuff. And I'm glad that you're here. And I also want to invite you to like and subscribe and support the show and all that kind of stuff. And if you are trolling for TYT, welcome. I'm glad to give you a break where you can sit back, maybe, write whatever you want. Just get angry, spitball. As long as you don't use any racial epithets or any anti-gay or anti-LGBT language, I kind of don't care what you say. This is one of the few places where people who are normally in Jimmy Dore's chat or in TYT's chat can come over here and freely, openly say Trump 2024, because it's what you want to say. But over there, you have to wear the veil, and I understand it. It's it's a matter of it's a game of 3-card Monte or cup and ball. So yeah, we love trolls. And thank you, by the way, Angry Hal, the Pentagon now. What the fuck? Oh, which part? Angry Hal. Why are you angry on which part? There's a lot to be angry about at the Pentagon. We'll talk about that in a minute. One of the let's see. Is TYT fluent in past 80 years of progressive thought? I recommend doing so. No, I don't think so. Especially considering Cenk was a Republican up till the mid-90s. This will probably make some people judge me more harshly, and think that there's not a balance to what I'm saying, but I have never voted for a Republican in my life. I have voted every election but one, because mid-90s and I was ill. It was the second. Well, no, I voted for president. I didn't vote in the primary that year. So I was down and I was like, and at that point it was, you couldn't mail in your vote and track it on your phone like now. So anyways, there you go. Yes, I genuinely think, there's a bunch of Republicans that troll by and go, I knew it. Well, of course you knew it. But I vote for people that I think can win, that represent my views as closely as they can come without actually being me. So there you go. Twitch is bugging out. Hopefully that will settle. All's well. Court filing shows Pentagon official deleted text messages as well. I see, Arian. Yeah, that's not the Pentagon's fault. That's Trump loyalists in there, and there's going to have to be a game of legal whack-a-mole happening. Get used to that idea. Yes, when you say the Pentagon now too, there's always something going on at the Pentagon. It's a secret place. One of the things about the secrets in the CIA and how the Pentagon does things, and even and I guess we should talk about, because we talked about it, a little bit yesterday, but the strike on Zawahiri, Zawahiri. I'm getting all my leftover guys mixed up with the ones that would have been taken out. I'm curious to see today, and we have a few things out that Fox News kind of avoided to talk. Some of it, they, and some of the earlier evening shows, they seem to talk about it. The nighttime shows, I don't know how much they paid attention to it because I don't watch them for my mental health. I watch pieces of what they put up as exemplary of their talk. And so what we'll be discussing in a few of these today, kind of what swamped the actual news about Zawahiri was the trip to Taiwan. That Nancy Pelosi arrived in Taiwan today. The Chinese government is threatening let's see, direct action, military action, blah blah blah. They have labeled her trip there as extremely dangerous and provocative because anytime you send the Speaker of the House who is over 80 years old, you got to scramble the fighter jets. They had hold on. Can I show you this? Hold on. China. Let's see. Tanks. This is I think someone, and I don't get this. Someone thought, I haven't seen anything this dumb since some of the bragging that we have seen on the Russian channels. Let me, hold on one second. Let me clear this, wait for this ad to clear. Okay, here it is. I'll just go right to this. This is amazing. So Taiwan, obviously, hundreds of miles away. Hold on, let's see the actual distance from Taiwan to the mainland, but we'll check it out in a second. On WeChat, there was this footage that when Nancy Pelosi, when her plane was reportedly headed to Taipei, the Chinese drove tanks on the beach, and there's fucking people there. There are people sunbathing and going to, what the bloody, what? What do you, this is one of the single dumbest things. I mean, this is like when they go on Channel 1 in Russia and brag that they're going all the way to Berlin. First of all, like the tank fire could reach Taiwan. Or that somehow, because Nancy Pelosi has landed there to have dinner with them and talk about trade and shit like that, that somehow she's going to like run out to the beach like a Granny McCarthy and start, I don't know, order a strike herself. She's going to join the Marines on the beach so Taiwan's going to attack China. And I have to say, this looks fucking weak. This overreaction about Nancy Pelosi going, I mean, like throwing a fit diplomatically and even like, moving boats in the area because the United States put boats in that area to protect her in case the planes tried to fuck with her as she landed. That some of that makes sense. But the idea that this is a dangerous provocation, the real way to handle, and this is because they can only do wolf warrior diplomacy right now. It's all tough talk, but it's meaningless as shit. And the weird part is the dumbest part of this, besides the fact that tanks aren't going to fire. Yeah, it's like 100 miles. Yeah, tanks are not going to be able to reach. None of these tanks are going to be able to fire on Taiwan and strike it. But what? I hope they woke up everybody that was sunbathing before these motherfuckers showed up. It's bizarre. There's been news of like Russian subs off the East Coast. I'm sure many people have heard of those like moments where they've been caught getting a little too close, or they may have come in. Blah blah blah. The United States maneuvered boats, but they didn't put fucking tanks on Long Island. Like they didn't set up anti-tank facilities in like batteries in Coney Island, for Christ's sake. Yeah, the 84-year-old secret strike force. I gotta say, like, this is just it's embarrassing. This is as shows of force go, it's pretty terrible. Like, I don't know that anybody is going to be impressed by this stuff. And this is, by the way, and then it goes in line with them also taking tanks to the eastern part of the country. This is in Xiamen. They've got tanks on, and they say, now, for the record, if you're Russia, what this tells you is that they're not going to help. These tanks are not coming to the west or to the northwest. They're going the opposite direction from Ukraine, which I suppose is a good thing. I mean, as strategies go, if the Chinese think that they're going to need stuff, the chances of them giving any of it to Russia, I guess, get slimmer. Yeah, tanks from the early 1900s. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are show tanks. Yeah, and then there's the ones that are the troop carriers that are driving down the street in Fujian. And again, like, and then everybody was tracking her flight. You could see, like, apparently it's the most tracked flight in the country. Meanwhile, here's how Taiwan reacted. They put up a big billboard saying, "Welcome to Taiwan, Speaker Pelosi," and they put it on the side of Taipei 101. That's Taipei 101. That's the giant tower that's designed like bamboo. So it can sway in the wind. It's got bumpers in the bottom. They call them bumper baby. They sell little toys, plush toys called bumper babies in it because it has to, and they're color coded in case there's a problem with any of the because if you have a big tall building, the hardest part is keeping it from falling over. Hal, how do you stay sane? It's it's not as hard as you think. It's stay mildly crazy, I think is really how you do it. But anyways, really lovely of Taiwan. And I will say, I am very envious of Nancy Pelosi right now because the tea she is going to drink is the finest in the world. I'm sorry, India and England. I'm sorry. But Formosa oolong, the Taiwanese oolong that grows there, is frankly the best tea that exists. And this is that little plane that transited this area. Big fucking deal. We looked at some of this stuff earlier. And then so this is her plane. It went around the Philippines so that China couldn't intercept it. Also, look at all the other, this is an interesting thing. Look at the planes going down here to the Philippines and around, but not going into China and out again. And look how much Chinese flight traffic is just inside the country. Now that domestically, that's going to be how it is in most countries. There's fewer foreign flights than there are domestic flights. But the number of flights transiting past or around China without stopping has increased drastically because of the zero COVID and all kinds of other shit. Also, this is Taipei 101. It's a beautiful building. I recommend if you want to know what Chinese culture is truly like and enjoy the depths of Chinese culture and experience the food and the traditions and all that kind of stuff, go to Taiwan. You can skip the mainland probably for the next 10 years, unfortunately, until Xi Jinping is out of power. There's her flight landing. Whoop, there she comes. Taiwan is lovely. And by the way, see this right here? Okay, this is the super nice hotel in Taipei. I have a fridge magnet. I got to stay there once when I was there. It's very nice. And they have a British tea just like the Hong Kong hotels have. And meanwhile, back in China, like a bunch of fucking hicks. I don't get it. So, I got China's putting serious military force on the streets of Xiamen, just across the strait from Taiwan. Yeah, for no fucking reason. Well, they're not using them anywhere else, and there's no guarantee that they function. I mean, it's like bookends, like military bookends. And again, this is really stupid for your streets. Normal, just asphalt roads, city streets cannot handle tanks rolling over them regularly. It's not a good idea. Not that, I mean, I gotta say, the recent construction in China is fairly shitty anyways, so I don't know that it's any worse than the streets. But, I mean, this is, China's like North Korea now. It's not quite there, but they're acting like it. And that's just weird. It's an ego thing. This is all ego. This is what the Xi Jinping version of Trumpism works. What is this? I'm calling it. Pelosi will not visit Taiwan. Why? Well, apart from other obvious reasons, she'll be flying a U.S. military aircraft. SPARKS 19. The U.S. cannot fly military aircraft into Chinese airspace. Yes, including Taiwan, without permission. It would be a suicide mission. Not quite, dummy. My guess is Pelosi knows her plane will be met by the PLA on approach to China airspace, and she knows she can then cancel and divert to South Korea and claim the PLA tried to shoot her down, saving face back in the U.S., which is what this is all about anyways. No, sorry, dummy. I mean, I don't doubt we'll see reports on China, reports for China. Yeah. So, anyways, I think it's great she went. I'm very excited about it. However, Fox is having a really hard time dealing with it. I mean, it's an emotional time for them anyways, with the Zawahiri getting killed, and then, you know, like Biden announcing that Osama bin Laden's number 2 it has gone down finally after all this time. And that, like, just getting out of Afghanistan, these egomaniacal psychopaths just decide, oh, well, I guess the coast is clear. No, it's not, dummy. You might want to hide until the Taliban actually managed to concoct an actual government. Of course, that would be forever. But primarily, how in the world, and I'm going to cover a couple of videos about this today, but how in the world are these people going to cover this without covering it? I mean, they're obviously going to bring up Tom Cotton after this, so I guess he can take care of any cleanup. Why? And this is, by the way, why is China seemingly infiltrating U.S. telecommunication systems? Okay, this is from August 2nd. What the fuck? First of all, we outlawed Huawei in this country for that very reason. And then a lot of these telecom, like the machinery, the actual technology and stuff that was assembled in China, the Chinese government put a lot of like chips and transmission bridges in there that allow them to intercept a bunch of stuff. And now we're having to broom it all out. This is a series, like a reflection of naivete and the idea that, you know, cost is the most important thing in terms of telecommunications equipment. And that went on for a decade, and they basically just found a wiggle way in, and that's how. All right.
Breaking report.
All right. The breaking report. Oh, it's a breaking report, is it?
Here with a big breaking report on all of this. She's been following the story from the get-go.
The big breaking report, and she's in Huntsville.
Our own Sarah Carter, investigative reporter. Sarah, we have an update from last week.
We have to do real news. Shit. How can I not? Just whatever you do, don't cut to footage of Pelosi landing over there, or remind me that Zawahiri is dead.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Sean. I'm here in Montana.
Absolutely.
I actually spent the day in Great Falls, and I drove all the way to Lewistown here in
Fantastic.
Montana, right
Did everybody notice your accent?
near Maelstrom Air Force Base. And just to give you the gravity of the situation, how dangerous this is, and why the U.S. Commerce Department is possibly investigating, along with the FBI,
Wait a minute. Excuse me. We don't trust the FBI anymore because they have been mistreating Rudy Giuliani. They need to be, according to Tom Cotton, who will be up in just a few minutes, the FBI needs to be dismantled and shut down. I don't even get me started on military intelligence and talking about foreign influence.
Maelstrom Air Force Base maintains 150 Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile silos out here. We were able to pass by some of those silos. You can see them from the road. The problem is, Sean, is that the telecommunication systems that are out in this area are literally honing in on Huawei technologies, meaning Huawei Technologies has access to those telecommunication devices. And the fear is that the Chinese government does too. I also spoke.
Yeah, I just for the record, none of our ICBMs are launched via text. Can I just clarify that before the story continues? It's never like, you know, Let the missiles fly, LOL. Like, it doesn't.
Spoke with Congressman Matt Rosendale earlier today, and this is what he had to say. We're here in Montana.
In front of a decommissioned aircraft, giving a Fox reporter the illusion that she's on some sort of facility. It's actually attached to, I believe, a concrete base.
We know now that the Commerce Department, as well as the FBI, we believe there's ongoing investigations right now.
That, by the way, both of those, the Commerce Department and the FBI, both Republicans want to get rid of.
Into Huawei Technologies near Malmstrom Air Force Base, and it is right near our nuclear silos.
And now, I know I'm going to ask this, how am I going to phrase this? Is the button... Where, like, on my phone, where would the button be? The button. We always hear about the button.
What is your biggest concern right now?
I'm very concerned. Again, it goes back to the monitoring. If they can pick up little pieces of data.
Yes, basically what this asshole is saying is that people on a military base are too stupid to go, fuck, dude, we just got ordered to launch a nuclear strike. Fuck, I'm just dicking with you. And then, right.
When we have movements, where those movements are going, when it's taking place, then that gives them a very big advantage over our own military. Because we have an arsenal of ICBMs here that we need to protect, especially right now when we see all the chaos that's taking place around the world.
Yeah, normally we don't have to protect them. Only when things get chaotic do we go, oh, fuck, who's watching the ICBMs?
What do we do now?
And it's very difficult. This is where I was saying earlier, that it's always easier to prohibit these things from taking place than to unwind them. It's the old, you can't get the toothpaste back in the tube once it's out.
Yeah, technologically speaking. Now, granted, also, none of these technologies, these transmitters or relays, are made of toothpaste. Also, I just feel like I need to clear up some of the technicalities.
And that is very difficult. You can eventually end up cleaning these things up through our cybersecurity systems and that type of work, but it's a lot more expensive and it's much more difficult because you never know what you missed until it rears its ugly head and we have a problem that shows up. So I think that we need to, again, start from the beginning. We know where we are right now.
Right.
Let's go ahead and make that a top priority.
They are. Apparently, these are ongoing investigations. You didn't have to ask for them. Fox didn't have to ask for them. The Commerce Department and the FBI have been on this for a long time. And this is it, and this is a big part of the fucking Republican systemology. Like, how do you talk about the fact that government is actually working the way it's supposed to once a problem is recognized and they start working on it, and still act like, oh, no, this is just like they're figuring out the issue and solving it, so I'll just jump in and yell really loud so they'll think it was 'cause of me.
Move that equipment from the cell towers over the next 30 days. If the Chinese Communist Party has a problem with that, there's a Latin term that we use around here quite often, it's pound sand, and we just tell them that, and we make sure.
Why would the Chinese Communist Party give a rat fuck about swapping out relays? That's a contract with the state. The state can buy or sell. They can just junk the shit. They can go, well, we're ending a contract to repair these pieces of gear and we're replacing them with other shit. What are you talking? Why? The Chinese Communist Party has no say in this. Even through, and it's not a Latin term. Yeah, it's maybe it means English and he's that. Jesus Christ.
So that our country is secure.
Yeah, you heard him right.
Sean, Congressman Rosendale, along with Oklahoma Governor...
Oklahoma, where the wind comes. That's what happens when you go to the Tom Brokaw School of Singing. A many splendored thing. Why? Endless love.
Governor Stitt and others lawmakers from Washington, D.C. are saying that this is...
Yeah, it's not your ear that's making you say Washington, D.C.
This is their ability to push them out right now to get Huawei and the Chinese government to move out of our telecommunication systems. And the only reason they've been able to do that, Sean, is because under the Trump administration, they've been able to expand the ability of the Commerce Department to investigate, as well as the FBI and as well as the FCC.
What? Wait a minute. They didn't expand investigations under the Commerce Department. What? What is it, Chip? Chipple. I took Chip outside today on a leash. I will post video at some point if I can make him do it again. And it was very warm out, so he was okay for a little bit. And then Summer went in the house and locked the back door behind me. So I was locked outside with Chip. So I had to walk around the house. And he was like, "Where are you taking me?" Ow! Ow! He was doing the big, like, freaked out cat meow. Right. Even Chip was like, "Bullshit, lady." Because under the Trump administration, oh, God.
Sean?
All right, Sarah Carter, great report.
Yeah, great report. And excellent job not mentioning that Nancy Pelosi is in, and look at this, Hannity, there's Nancy Pelosi on the picture right there. What happens when we click
Here now
that?
with Reaction, author of probably the most timely book heading into the midterms, Defeating Big Government.
Oh, okay,
Here now
obviously.
with Reaction, author.
No, I don't care.
Here with the big break.
Here with the show and the thing is the bit. Okay, let's see, where do we even start? Okay, so Glenn Beck, this is longer. So I'm going to take a break between the number of like China reaction things that we do, even though that was relatively minor, because there's so much other ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, and quite frankly, like, I'm shocked he's back in the office. He's certainly not he's still dressed for golf. Still the same giant pile of shit in his office. What is it? Hold on. A Chip wants to... No. What is it? What is it, buddy? What's going on? What's happening? What is going on? You can't... I'm doing a show. You with your big belly. What is it doing? What? What is it, boy? What are you doing? What's it? Oh, it's a big belly. Oh, it's a big belly. Hold on. We can't ruin the sight of Chip with... Ida, what are you doing? Can I help you? Do you want? I'm not giving you a snack right now. You've got a big belly. Okay, hop down. You're fine. Oh my gosh, he was digging under the door. He only usually does that when I'm in the bathroom indisposed. Is Chip pregnant? Yes, he's pregnant with being a starving kitty and finally being able to eat. Oh, the cats want them treats. Absolutely. But yeah, if you're ever, yes, thank you. Thanks very much, Factor. That's very sweet. I appreciate it. Anyways, like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Let's go to this fella. The last time we saw this dickhead, he was in the woods, and he was stupid enough to stand in front of greenery and allow me to project a picture of him, of his father and Jeffrey Epstein together at one of their many hangouts. There are a few areas where I'm actually shocked at how disgusting the Trumps are on certain things. Going after Biden or Hunter or any of that, I don't care. Not surprising at all. Occasionally when they shit on the FBI or whatever, I find that surprising. The Brittney Grinder thing, the truth about the ridiculous Brittney Grinder situation. The truth about it. Now, this is doing pretty good for him as videos go. Now, considering who Donald Trump Jr. is and the impact that he and his father are supposed to have on politics, the fact that his videos don't do any better than my 30 to 45 minute clips that I post on YouTube, which in and of themselves are podcast level conversations, I would say, on par with anything you're going to hear, but are definitely long form. mine get about that same number. And he's got 979,000 subscribers on this site and 4,000 views. This is from yesterday. And this is doing well for him. It got 1,246 rumbles. Like they're back to laundering money for him again. By the way, there has been no update on the pictures of him and his dad or the articles in the news, even though God knows they've had plenty of new news articles over the years written, giant puff pieces written by right-wing publications. And yet, they can't spring for any more framing. No? You're just going to leave that? All right, fine. This is
All right, I'm standing here in front of the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C.
Right. And no one
inside
cares.
is the first jury trial that was brought forth by special counsel John Zierk.
Well, guys, I'm sure you've seen
Well, guys, I can't believe it. It's over that. I go half a fuba.
this, the Brittney Grinder
Brittney Grinder controversy, which I have notes written on either side. It's like a tennis match of idiocy. I've got the name of the thing, and then I ran out of space, so I had to put it over here. Tell you what, I'm just going to stare just above the camera just to be annoying.
Controversy. She's the WNBA player that was arrested in Russia for possession of drugs, something you're not allowed to do there.
Yes, you're allowed to arrest people for the possession of drugs in Russia. It's part of their system. You're not allowed to possess drugs. Yeah, she had she thought she had CBD vape capsules, and she has hash ones that she smokes recreationally in the United States. She got them mixed up. The wrong ones were in her travel bag. That's what it was for. She was not smuggling fucking heroin in a way that perhaps Don Jr. will get used to at some point in his future.
She's been held there for a while, and now,
just talking about it is making my deviated septum clog with coke.
The Biden administration...
Oh, is he too loud? He is loud. Sorry. Oy. The Biden administration is about to trade Victor Boot. And by the way, it's not just for her. Let's see if he notices.
Administration may trade a literal arms dealer.
A literal arms dealer? Why would we keep that arms dealer, which is good for America? They're trying to destroy us. We can't let it happen.
For this WNBA political activist who doesn't seem to have anything good to say about America for years, we're going to trade a Russian arms dealer for someone who committed a crime in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not a crime over here, and 9 years in jail where she will be tortured is not a great idea. Also, hold on one second. Sorry. Whoops. Victor Boot. Whoops. Well, we're also getting Whelan in exchange for that as well. Yeah, Paul Whelan. He's not going to. This is here you go. Let me get the article up so you guys can see it. That's Victor Boot. He was played by Nicolas Cage in the movie Lord of War. I prefer Deal of the Century, but that's just me. This is Paul Whelan. This is Brittney Grinder. We're getting two of them for him. He's also in America. He's not here on a capital offense, even though he's a vicious, awful murderer. He's only got a 25-year sentence, at which point we have to let him out. He's young enough to survive that. This is not like he will be out in a shorter time than some of the people who went to Gitmo who didn't do anything. So, yeah. He's not going to mention Paul Whelan at all. He's going to say, we're giving Victor Boot in exchange for, an American tourist who fucked up, and we should just leave her there. By the way, America first.
What could go wrong, folks?
I'm reading it. I even wrote in quotes, what could go wrong?
Folks. And of course, the liberals and the liberals in the media. Trump is siding yet again with Russia.
Wait, you're reading your own? Leftists doing their Trump is siding with Russia BS because he rightfully thinks it's a bad idea to trade a convicted Russian arms dealer for a lib activist who assumed she could break Russia's laws and get away with it, and like she could certainly do in the U.S. is peak dem. Like she could certainly do in the U.S. is peak dem insanity. Okay, first of all, what she did would not constitute
crime in the United States. If anything, in some places it would be a misdemeanor for possession, but nearly nowhere in the country are hash vaping cartridges going to get you anything more than a summons or a ticket. Secondly, the idea that we should leave her there because of that, because they found this and then they're going to use her as a bargaining chip anyways, or we should just leave an American citizen. Remember, this is the people who think that there are hostages that we left behind in Afghanistan. And the people that stayed behind in Afghanistan who have dual citizenship, many of whom, by the way, are in the fucking opium trade and didn't want to leave because Afghanistan is the side of their bread that butter is on. And he's quoting somebody else. Brittney Grinder's not a political prisoner. She carried drugs that were illegal with whatever.
Because he thinks, essentially, that it's a bad idea to trade a jailed Russian arms dealer for a spoiled WNBA political activist.
She's an American. Sorry. We don't, no one would get 9 years in prison for being a spoiled political activist. That we don't operate that way. That's kind of what makes the country great. I don't have to agree with your political opinions. You can be an asshole. You're never going to fucking go to jail for that. Not in this country. So the idea that, and certainly I don't believe that nonviolent, drug users who have minor amounts for personal use should go to fucking jail for 9 years anywhere. And to say that it's okay for them to do that to our citizens elsewhere and we're just going to let them go, because she wasn't trafficking. This isn't like a story of an American, with dual citizenship or an American who lives abroad, an expat, ends up trafficking in another country or some shit. That's not this at all. This is personal use. So it's absurd anyways. I mean, he's not even going to mention, like I said, Paul Whelan's existence. Like, we're getting two for the price of one. And Victor Bout's awful, but he's never going to leave Russia again. His whole thing was traveling through the Middle East and trading arms with people or whatever. And with the kind of people you have to meet in person. You can't call these fuckers because they live in caves or they live underground or they live kind of this burrowed existence in places. That's who they trade with. He can't do it anymore. He might be able to advise on something, but he's certainly not going to give any good advice on how to, carry out the Ukraine war, for fuck's sake.
Can you believe this stuff?
Yes, I can. I would do that in a fucking heartbeat. And so would the only problem is Trump couldn't get Whelan out. This is the issue. That's this dude. Trump never even came close to this. As friendly as he fucking was with Putin.
I mean, is there anything this administration will do that's actually perhaps good for America?
Yes, getting back two citizens in exchange for somebody who is a useless criminal in Russia, which we have sanctioned up the ass right now to the point where it is ruining their economy. I doubt that his value as an arms trader, the reality is he might be dead in 3 years by their hand. This guy will catch a bad case of cement poisoning if he's not able to deliver in the next couple of years. I mean, the chance he might show up on Channel 1 a few times before they throw him in the fucking Moskva.
Is there anything that the mainstream media...
Well, I have a note about the mainstream media. I wrote mainstream media because if I put MSM, I think it's a supplement.
Will do that actually puts America first? I mean, think about the consequences.
Yes, I am thinking about the consequences. 2 Americans, one of which who will be basically tortured in the country just for existing the way she is, just by being black and gay in Russia, in jail. Already, they don't even have, they put her in a fucking cage to transport her, and she's too tall for it. So they don't care. They just treat her like an animal. It's fucking awful. And Whelan is not a spy, but he's going to go down as one. They'll eventually do him in if we don't get him back, because Russia's going to collapse soon. There is no tomorrow in negotiating for these people. If this goes on for a few more months and Russia eats shit like it's going to this fall, their lives are in danger. Don't believe me? Ask anybody who was around or who saw the Ukrainian prisoners of war who were bombed by Russia in the Donbass.
An arms dealer.
Yes, he's an arms dealer. He doesn't have access to arms. He's selling Russian shit. I got news for you, fucko. They don't have enough stuff to use, much less give away right now. What's he gonna do? Like, they weren't able to get drones from Iran. Do you think they're gonna, thank God, Victor Bout is here. We'll send him down to Iran, then they'll give us the fucking drones. The shit?
Okay? Someone who is not a good guy.
Not a good guy. And we should keep him and put him in my dad's next cabinet.
Listen, what the fuck? Someone who is
Not a good guy.
Will do that actually puts America first. I mean, think about the consequences. A arms dealer, okay? Someone who is not a good guy, okay?
Not a good guy.
Has a long history of bad stuff.
I'm glad he studied before this one.
This guy has a long history of doing the not goods. Okay? I don't know if you read the article. Some people don't like to do the research, but this guy has been doing the not good for some time.
We're gonna trade them
for 2 Americans who will be dead inside 2 years if we don't get them back.
for, again, a leftist political activist who got caught doing things they shouldn't have been doing in Russia. Now, I imagine...
Again, your dad was caught doing things he shouldn't have been doing in Russia. Your dad admitted to walking into the backstage area of underage girls who were dressing. The fuck? In Russia.
Okay. If Trump was in charge, they never would have even put Brittney Grinder in jail, despite her hatred of Trump and America and all things. It probably never would have happened.
It probably never would have happened. They would have turned off their drug laws entirely, because when Trump is in charge, you could break any law in any other country you want because they respect our strength, okay? Also, my dad had an arrangement.
But now, Russia knows just how incompetent the Biden administration is, just how weak they are, so they say, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get whatever we want. We're going to get Russian arms dealer, notorious Russian arms dealer Victor Bout.
I'm sorry, who?
Weak they are, so they say, you know what?
What was the name again?
Let's do it. Let's get whatever we want. We're going to get Russian arms dealer, notorious Russian arms dealer Victor Bout back.
Yes, Victor Bout. Victor Bout. Bout. What's it all about? What's it all about? Victor Bout, you dumb son of a bitch. He's notorious for having the name Victor Bout. It's pronounced Boot, you dumb son of a bitch. I mean, it's bad. We know you're reading it. Look. We know you're reading it. We know you just heard it just now. They sent you the talking points. They gave you the Post-it notes. They said, stick these up on your fucking monitor and make your little video, or no Coke money this week. Okay, Heritage Foundation, Trump campaign wannabes, Save America assholes, whoever is sending this dickhead his daily scripts. You got to start sending pronunciation codes, cues rather. You have to send him a hot link that goes how do you pronounce? Where a computer voice goes boot. Victor Bout.
And his lawyer confident that's going to happen.
His lawyer is confident. Victor Bout's lawyer is
because they know America is led by a bunch of schmucks at this point. Remember, Brittney Grinder's not a political prisoner.
Yes, I know. You showed us the tweet that you responded to where someone else said that, and you are parroting what she said. Now, you don't have to be politically active in a country to be a political prisoner. You can be taken prisoner in another country for political reasons. And by the way, by just saying that if she'd have been in the exact same situation and your dad was in charge and they would have let her go means that they are taking her for a political reason, or that they would have released her for political leverage with and for your dad.
She wasn't, arrested there.
Yeah, see, he's quoting this. She carried drugs that were illegal with her in Russia and was arrested.
There's nothing political about that. Tell him, Tib. There's nothing political about this.
Yeah, there is. If they take her for political reasons, if they let it slide in other circumstances, but in this particular situation, they use her as leverage, it is political. She is a political prisoner, even if she is not politically active, you dumb fuck. Also, she's captive in a country that punishes people for putting on gay pride events.
She carried
in a relatively racially homogenous country at that.
Drugs that were illegal in Russia. And
yeah, as a mistake. And even still, pleading and leaving the country is usually how it goes in most countries. That's, especially ones we have regular interaction with. They snatched her right before the war because they knew she could be useful. Even just using the CBD ones that she had would have been enough for them to use those against her. They don't, that's the problem with Putin-like dictatorships. Selective enforcement.
Was arrested. There's nothing political about that. I understand that if you're a leftist political activist in America right now,
that you won't get arrested, and that upsets him.
I have to do this thing when I talk where I push against my veneers and it resets the plate underneath the hole in my deviated septum caused by cocaine, and it clicks. And if I don't hear the click, I know I'm going to go.
They're not likely to ever enforce the laws of our nation against you. But that's not how Russia works.
I see. She broke a law over there that wouldn't be a law over here that would be broken, or she get in any real trouble for. Certainly something she wouldn't be caged. But that to him, that means that lefties can get away with anything.
If you're a political person in America like my father or myself,
then obviously you can grift all you want and screw your supporters out of their own money, and you can make a deal with the Saudis and play golf, or your dad can while you go to Montana, because you have a rule that you can't all be in the same place so it makes it more expensive to arrest you.
And you say, maybe I don't want to put a dangerous arms dealer back on the streets.
On the streets, that's where he's going to go. Yep, that's the thing. Victor Bout on the street. Sorry, Bout. Victor Bout on with his new show in Russia, Out and the Bout. Hello, I'm Victor Bout. Welcome to Out and the Boot.
Maybe a Russian arms dealer, who knows what links to terrorism or whatever. Maybe I don't want to trade that for a spoiled brat political activist of the Democrats. That doesn't mean you're siding with Russia.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. You don't get to keep our citizens for shit that certainly would not warrant the level of prosecution that they're getting in this circumstance, or that may be a fungible, as he is alleging, without us doing something about it. Again, this is about leaving Americans behind. That Americans, sorry, but according to the Trumps, no matter who the fuck you are, especially if you disagree with them or you are insufficiently loyal, because we know now that the Republicans who are insufficiently loyal to Trump are actually, they hate them more than they hate hyper lefties. That you are not worth it. You are not worth trading for. Spy exchanges, all that kind of stuff, as gnarly as they are, we're just not going to do it anymore. And why? Because we're afraid that person will actually be an effective person on the battlefield, or will engage in other arms sales in a way that we can't track or deal with. By the way, the idea that, that's a conversation for another time. The idea that Victor Vabout is going to actually be effective anymore is absurd. The reason to keep him in jail or to not give him up is entirely punitive.
That means you're actually siding with Americans. This is a convicted Russian arms dealer. Okay? This isn't like a lamb in the woods. This isn't someone from Russia who, was carrying illicit drugs in America.
Yeah, no, that's what she was.
And again, we understand if you're a leftist activist doing drugs in America, you almost don't have to follow any rules.
Oh, yeah? There's a drawer just to your left, Junior. And if you're anything like your dad, if you reach back and just open that drawer and tilt the camera down a little bit, give us a gander, maybe the rest of us will take you a little bit more seriously. No?
It seems like criminals in America don't have to follow rules anyway. They're just going to be released on their own recognizance, like the guy that tried to stab Lee Zeldin.
Oh my God, Lee Zeldin's campaign co-chair let him out. Lee Zeldin's campaign co-chair is the DA in the town where the guy tried to stab him with the kitty cat keychain, with the plastic ears of the kitty cat keychain, and she released him on his own recognizance. She did. Lee Zeldin's campaign co-chair released the guy who did not file greater charges of violence against the guy and therefore allowed him to be released without bail. That was not a Democrat. That was not like Chesa Boudin or whatever from fucking San Francisco.
The guy who's running for governor of New York like 2 weeks ago. That's what happens. So make no mistake.
Make no mistake. The vabouts, the victor bouts of the thing are not, there is no American worth trading for in any of these situations. It's your ass.
This isn't a good trade. This isn't a...
By the way, you'll notice he has not mentioned the fact that it is for both of these people. We are getting 2 Americans, including Paul Whelan. These 2 for this guy. 2 people for this guy. Now, why is Junior only mentioning her and not mentioning him? Is there something unsympathetic to his audience about her, but maybe sympathetic about this guy? Is there something with this guy versus this guy? After months of internal debate, the Biden administration has offered to exchange Victor Bout, a convicted Russian arms trafficker serving a 25-year U.S. prison sentence, as part of a potential deal to secure the release of 2 Americans. 2 Americans held by Russia, Brittney Grinder and Paul Whelan. Dmitry Peskov said Thursday, so far there is no agreement on this issue. It's going to happen. They're not going to talk about the details, blah, 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 blah. Let me see if they have a convert the director, senior administration guys have been responsible. Officer takes 2 to tango. We start negotiations, blah, blah, blah. This has been going on. This, I mean, it's ultimately gonna happen. But it's weird that there's any pushback before it has. Because I mean, ultimately, what are you talking about here? If the deal happens, it's going to happen. If it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen because of the, Russia and the State Department not coming to terms about how to do it. But the idea that both he and his dad are throwing themselves in front of this deal to make sure it doesn't happen or to capitalize on it politically before it occurs, as almost I suppose, a message to the Russians, don't do it, is I think the only other shocking thing about this.
American politicians doing the bidding of Russia. This is putting America first by not wanting a convicted Russian arms dealer out on the street.
I don't give a fuck if Victor Bout is out on the street. He is, when he goes to Russia, he'll be as much a problem for them as anybody else. He's an arms dealer who sold illicit Russian arms and Egyptian arms and fucking North Korean shit. He did all kinds of deals with all kinds of people throughout Africa, and even was selling to both sides in a couple of conflicts that fucked with the Russian position. He's one of the graft guys who was finding, he was Shoigu, the Russian DOD guy who has a $24 million house on a $112,000 a year salary. One of the reasons that dude has a $24 million fucking house is because he sells off Russian military equipment under the fucking table. And he sells it to people through people like Victor Bout. This isn't Russia making a deal with Congo or with fucking Boko Haram to get stuff. This is them fucking their own country. Victor Bout was not a licensed Russian arms dealer. There's every reason to believe that, but for his like trophy use, that once they get him back, they'd snuff him and throw him in a fucking pond. Especially Shoigu and these other dudes who've been selling arms through him over the years, illicitly, illegally, under the table, that don't want their system found out. For fuck's sake, if Victor Bout is returned and Putin has him walk in and go, okay, who was giving you the shit that you sold in Africa 10 years ago? Because I was supposed to get a piece of that action and I never saw it. Or one of the reasons why our fucking tanks suck right now and why our tires are rotten is because somebody sold our extra tires. Where the fuck are they? Then he's going to tell him, think he's buddies with Putin, and then they're going to shoot him in the hallway. Yeah, Putin would have him standing on a plastic tarp. Exactly. Jesus Christ. Victor Bout was not a Russian military, general or one of their technicians who was engaged in spying in the United States and was, buying U.S. gear and selling it through Mexico to Saudi Arabia or some shit like that. He was stealing from his own country. And he was using the kleptocracy of the Russian government to fucking do it. There are 10 guys in Russia who want him shot in the head so he doesn't snitch on them. They're all billionaires.
In exchange for a leftist activist.
And no, in exchange for an American. Fuck you, what they do. And also, notice how he is still, he's not going to bring up, I'm calling it, there's 9 seconds left in this fucking video. He's not going to bring up Paul Whelan.
Stop pretending otherwise. And that's why no one has any faith in the media or the Democrats. Because it's going to happen anyway, folks, unfortunately.
Huh? Hold on.
Because, that's why it's going to happen, but nobody's going to happen. It's not going to happen, and you're not going to have it happen if you happen it. And that's what
the media.
And you can't trust the media, even though they're reporting this, basically, even though I'm reading directly from the media here, as it says in the Washington Post, which is awful when it talks about my dad, but right the rest of the time. This deal is going to happen no matter what anybody says, probably because my dad's not fucking president anymore.
Or the Democrats, because it's going to happen anyway, folks, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is going to happen. Fortunately, for an American, for two Americans, actually. Now, I don't know when this one was posted, this next video. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, by the way. I go through all these whole videos, and sometimes it's a tooth pull, I gotta say. Sometimes it's fucking aggravating. Because sometimes they get boring, sometimes they get lost in the weeds, but the one thing we can always count on is, for Glenn Beck, to mix ego, idiocy, and the absolute worst reading comprehension this side of Dan Bongholio, all fused together. And I always enjoy watching some of these because, you know, I don't pre-watch these videos. We go through them. We raw dog these videos. I'm sorry. And in doing so, I don't know what Glenn Beck we're going to get. Which Glenn Beck Fisher Price person we end up getting with his ever-changing, bizarre search for a branded outfit. And we will see. Are you going? Who says Cowboy Glenn? I'm going with it's cold in the studio, Glenn, or I'm sick again, so I'm wearing a cravat because I think my neck looks fat. That's that. If there's several of those, but we'll find out. Here it goes. Let's see. Preppy Glenn. All right, we'll see.
18 years old.
Oh, sorry. It's you'll shoot your eye out. Christmas Story, summertime special. Glenn, sunburned and wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He just fresh back from a Cabo Wabo trip with Ted Cruz. And I didn't even know there was a terrible storm.
I am working at WPGC in Washington, D.C., and I can see the light on top of the Washington Monument.
Mm-hmm. It's spectacular. It doesn't droop like the lights that you hung on Sport by hand, and that's always the problem. The Hue folks, I do appreciate that you erred on the side of the stick tack that's on the back of the Hue LED strips. It's not the stickiest stuff in the world. It really isn't. I would appreciate, one of the things you might want to do is on that stuff, put a little, like a place where you can either put a tack, like a thumbtack, like a little loop every, like, foot and a half. That way the stick tack can stay that light, and so it won't stick to everything, so people can move. A lot of people in apartments love that shit. Makes the place more livable. And then when you leave, you can take it with you. And if it had that super, like, double stick that tears the paint off, that'll fuck with you. So maybe you just put those little tack holes in it. I'm just spitballing. I'm trying to help you out here. But because this happens, this business right here, you get droopy. And this is, I mean, Glenn, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody has a little droopy pee at your age and health level. Also, again, the American Indian picture behind you and then the cowboy shirt like you're a fucking toddler. Also, sunscreen, Glenn, sunscreen. You're not a healthy man to begin with.
So I'm at ground zero. Ronald Reagan is in office. And there's something, I don't remember what it was, but
he's at ground zero in... Does he consider D.C. ground zero while Ronald Reagan is up? Okay.
Confrontation with the Soviet Union, and it was really serious. And I remember keeping the door to the teletype in my studio open. Teletype is how we used to get the news.
Yes, I remember. It used to come in through
and that guy wouldn't stop making that noise with his mouth until the news showed up. It was like, Charles, will you stop that, please? I've got one job and I'm going to do it.
And it had bells on it, and a 10-bell event would be nuclear war.
And it was Christmas. And some asshole thought it would be funny to turn the TV up for the Toys R Us ad, and I heard distinctly right just before Rudolph's bell rang, I was wearing red long johns with the flap open in the back. I thought it was an adorable look, and some big fashion glasses, like the woman who designs the outfits in The Incredibles.
And I kept that propped open so I could hear those bells and count the bells. And
the bells.
Oh God. The Glenn Beck of Nostradam.
And, we got, I think, as high as like 6 bells. And I would count them because
And then somebody told you, like, asshole, we finish our day at 6 o'clock. You're hearing the church across the street.
I knew, and I thought, I'm at ground zero. I mean, this could be over in 12 minutes.
Yeah, I wish I was in Utah, so it would take a long time.
I haven't felt that way, really, until this administration.
Really? Yeah, 9/11, you just shrugged it off? You didn't think anybody was, like, you were in New York during 9/11, wasn't he?
You know, even after September 11th, I remember feeling on September 11th, boy, I don't know what they're going to do. But it wasn't a fear of...
It was going to... Whatever happened, it was going to happen to someone else.
Nuclear war or all-out war over the whole world. We're approaching that kind of place. We now have... Do we have the live footage? They're tracking Nancy Pelosi's plane.
It's terrible. She's going to fly over there and applaud their democracy. This is fucking horrible.
We can show it to you. She's at about 10,000 feet, headed towards Taiwan. She has...
You're not going to play the Jaws theme or anything?
Avoided the restricted airspace.
No, that microphone is not an egg timer. That microphone is vanilla. It's basically Glenn wears a lapel mic, but to get him to work, they have to tie his hands behind his back and put a Dove bar with all the chocolate pulled off in front of him.
Over the South China Sea. However, China has just closed the airspace above the Taiwan Strait. And
which she would obviously not need to fly through, even if she was coming from South Korea.
They are...
If you'll notice, see where the plane is? See where Taiwan is? See where the Strait of Taiwan is? See this part? This part. I mean, she could always do a lap and just, give them the bird out the window.
They're at least flexing their muscles.
Yes, what I just did had the exact same amount of impact on Nancy Pelosi's flight landing in Taiwan.
If you
all butterfly effect stuff aside.
Look at what China is sending out online.
Dear God. They're not tweeting, are they?
You are seeing...
It's a 10-bell tweet.
Military being moved. You have...
Yes, you're seeing bowels being moved.
The aircraft carriers from China moving out of their home ports.
Yes. P.S. None of them can go further than 500 miles without having to refuel. I'm not kidding.
And headed towards Taiwan.
This is their fucking propaganda video, you prick. They didn't go, Pelosi has arrived in Taiwan. Hup, 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 hup. Like, get the fuck out of here. Hup, hup, hup,
I don't know what's going to happen.
Get the anti-Pelosi weapons.
We have a guy who...
She's Italian.
Actually...
She's from San Francisco. Get the sourdough gun. Get the jets ready.
Somewhat of kind of an expert on this area.
Imagine shinning yourself shooting that video like, boom, ding, motherfucker. Damn you, Pelosi.
Working for us. He's our chief researcher and head writer for the Glenn Beck television program. Jason Buttrill.
Hey, there's Jason. Jason, he's the head researcher. And just to let you know, he does not pick Glenn's shirts, for the record. Just, the more you know.
Hello, Jason. How are you?
Hey, Glenn. Doing good.
Doing good. I mean, we're on the verge of World War V, and I'm shitting myself bloody. Everything I read online that isn't QAnon stuff points me in the direction that that we are the world's going to end. And the irony is that the asteroid from Andromeda with the baby-eating grays is going to hit here well before the nuclear missiles can take us out, and yet just in time for us to see the big lights in the sky and wish we could die by our own hand. That sense. Also, there's a button on the side of your chair that raises it up, and one of these days you'll end up learning how to use it.
Jason, help me out on
fashion choices.
How serious is this?
It's the most serious thing ever. It's so serious that serious people have been calling me and going, this is serious. Seriously? Seriously.
With China, do you think?
I think it's very serious, especially considering...
On a scale of very serious to fairly seriously, very seriously. Yes, Butt Trill is his name. Head writer and researcher. You mean he does all the fucking work? Glenn Beck, head blather.
You know, the symbolic meaning of Taiwan. Taiwan's very, very symbolic to the Chinese Communist Party.
Imagine how the Taiwanese people feel.
This has been an issue.
To the Taiwanese, the Chinese people who live in Taiwan, it's very symbolic.
Since, the communists took over, really. So this is probably one of the most crazy, ambiguous treaties we've ever had. The Taiwan Relations Act is the most ambiguous thing ever, which makes Kirby's, remarks yesterday kind of odd to come out and say, we don't support independence so publicly. I mean...
Well, we're jerking them around. You got to understand, I don't want to blow the game, but we're fucking with China right now on purpose. We know they can't go any further than certain points because of the situation that they're in. And they've been ratcheting up this wolf warrior diplomacy bullshit. And since the talks in Alaska, the administration's gone, all right, we're just gonna give them a purple nurple every fucking week.
I've read the Taiwan Relations Act cover to cover. The ambiguity, just saying it's ambiguous is even an understatement. It's the equivalent of one of the most confusing Christopher Nolan movies ever. Take Inception, take Interstellar.
Okay, I understood both of those movies and didn't have any issue with them whatsoever. The ambiguity was written in on purpose. And in English, it's a lot more ambiguous than in Chinese.
Take Tenet and then have 30 different people try to describe
it. Glenn hasn't watched any of those movies. Glenn is... Look at the shirt Glenn is wearing and know that he only watches movies that feature cartoon fish.
What it actually means? I actually think of me. That's basically what we're talking about here.
So this is Taiwan and China are at war with each other. It's a civil war.
No, they aren't. They are not at war with each other. It's not a fucking civil war. They are fucking not. Hong Kong and China aren't even in that situation, and they actually had physical skirmishes.
And it happened in the 1950s. So this has been going back and forth from the 1950s, but it's coming to a head, and that's because as China rises in power...
No. China has been rising in power. As China starts losing that power, that's when this shit has started.
They think the odds are that they can take the...
No, they don't. Did you get this from your fucking researcher?
United States of America. I don't think that's possible yet.
And it's never going to be. They can't, quote, take the United States of America, dumbass.
But I think we're maybe 2 to 5 years away from...
We're 2 to 5 years from China not existing anymore.
Them actually being able to take Taiwan.
Bullshit.
And call our bluff.
Well, again, what do they do when they take Taiwan? What do they do? Huh? What, make the chip factories there work less efficient? Lose all the contracts that are there from South Korea, from the United States and Europe to produce chips in Taiwan? Because the CCP would have control over the internal workings of those companies and they would no longer be safe? What? I mean, talk about the dog that finally caught the car.
Or just fight the war.
Yeah. What war, dumbass? What war? What are they going to do? Storm the beach and kill their own fucking people? This isn't even fucking Ukraine. They don't even need to go through Taiwan. They don't need Taiwan. It might as well be the fucking Philippines to them strategically. The only fear they have is that Taiwan is so friendly with the West and the rest of the fucking world and is capable of trading with the rest of the world that they can't control them. And therefore, if Taiwan wants to start shipping shit to the rest of the world, they don't have to use their navy to protect their ships as they go out into the sea. So the U.S. will do it, and the AUKUS agreement will carry it even further. So they'll trade with Japan, they'll trade with Australia, and they'll trade with us, and then their ships can go through the fucking Panama Canal and go to Europe. And in that process, they'll have a great relationship, and our Navy ships will be close to them all the time. And the paranoia idea of us attacking China at some point, it might grind them a little bit the way, Putin apparently allegedly ground himself about NATO, which, NATO was never going to fucking attack Russia. There's no fucking point. We don't want anything from them. China, look, Russia, we've talked to our dear friend Philip Ittner about this many times, but Russia can only make things they can pull out of the ground and sell. They have stopped innovating once they killed their space program. They basically parrot our space program. They parallel with us. We trade stuff with them, and then they just launch it out of fucking Kazakhstan. But you're not buying fucking Russian phones and TVs and cars and medical equipment and x-ray machines and MRIs. And you're not getting any of their pharmaceuticals. Why the fuck would you? So why would we? And the land is unarable. It's covered in permafrost. Most of the land is covered in permafrost 80% of the year. The ports aren't worth a goddamn because they're unnecessary. We don't need the St. Petersburg, like the Europeans, Norway, Finland, Sweden, the UK, Poland. None of them need the fucking port of St. Petersburg to get their shit someplace. So nobody gives a fuck about Russia. As long as they mind their own business, nobody cared. That's why after 91, everybody jumped in to help them, because it seemed self-evident that we weren't going to go in there and seize Russian territory, because what the fuck for? The same thing is true with China and Taiwan. China imports 80% of their fuel and 80% of their food and 85% of their fuel. 41% of their arable farmland is toxic or over-farmed to death. They had 6 of the biggest coal mines in the world, gigantic fucking coal mines that were their primary source of coal. They just didn't have enough. They had to buy from Australia, which is better coal than what they have, easier to extract, cleaner burning than the stuff that they get. That's where the whole clean coal thing, there's no such thing as clean coal. There's cleaner coal, but there's not clean coal. But the stuff that they have, because of them damming up fucking 9,800, it might even be larger. Hold on. I need to look this up real quick, because I always... dams. Something along that. Okay. 23,008. Okay. Yeah, there you go. By 2019, China has built, starting in about 1985, China built 23,841 dams. The last, 10,000 of them have been built in the last 10 fucking years, and they've all been rush jobs with no geosurveillance around the area. So they break away and flood once they get built up. Once the water builds up to the point where it's at the top of the dam, and then you start regulating the water that's going through at the bottom to generate power. That's how most dams are built. That's how Hoover Dam's built. That's what they're fucking for. But if you don't survey the land around the area where the water's going to build up because you think it's all granite and you didn't bother to ask anybody, and one of the hills there is almost entirely clay, in a couple of years, it's going to break. It'll start trickling. There'll be a lot of weird extra water. And by the way, if it takes longer than 5 years, people are going to notice that the ground around that area is amazingly fertile. Look how wet it is. We can grow all kinds of stuff, especially if your crop is rice. And people will move into that area and start growing fucking rice because the ground is damp around that area, not realizing that the reason it's now fucking damp and a great place to grow rice is because the geosurveillance that they did of the dam that's just over the fucking mountain didn't check to recognize that the water's going to break through. And then it popped through in a bunch of these fucking places. and filled these coal mines, these giant, and they do it like strip mining, inverted strip mining. And they filled them up like fucking swimming pools. They're these giant lakes full of coal and dead people. It just aggravates me when these assholes, when he asks him about the situation in Taiwan, and this motherfucker goes there in a civil war, and this prick is like, it's so ambiguous. It's like a Nolan film. Shut the fuck up.
You think that's accurate?
No, absolutely accurate. China sees Taiwan like they see Hong Kong. When they made the deal with Hong Kong, it was always, people always say, oh, well, China does, has no right to do this. It's supposed to be two systems, and
Hong Kong is connected.
Or one country.
Hong Kong is connected by land.
Yeah, but it was in that agreement that China would one day take full control and it would be one system. People usually leave that part out. They just decided to accelerate their plans. They see Taiwan as one China, and they believe it's rightful.
By the way, Putin sees Ukrainians as one people with the Russians, meaning the Russians that are there. Anybody else, the Jews, the Romani, anybody else who's Slavic that he technically doesn't think is purely Russian, those people are the Nazis that need to be driven out, even if they're Jewish.
Theirs, and their plan is always to take it. They just don't have the military capability.
And they won't.
Now, moving towards what we're seeing now, the thing that would have always, tip us off, and in the Taiwan Relations Act, we said that if you try to coerce, militarily onto Taiwan to change Taiwan and take it, we will respond. And President Reagan, in I believe 1980 or 1982, reassured right after the 1979 Taiwan Act, reassured that, hey.
Oh, nice. The PACT Act passed. That just happened while we were on the air. Hold on. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to look on Twitter, aren't I? It's too fast for the news. 1 second. There you go. Here's Kirsten Gillibrand. Hold on. Came out. We did it. Senator Gillibrand says after the Senate passes the PACT Act, the bill to expand VA healthcare eligibility for vets exposed to toxic burn pits. Right on. There you go. What's happening, people? All right. There you go. Senate. Here you go.
On this vote, the yeas are 86. The nays are 11.
Who are these 11 motherfuckers? One of them better be Pat Toomey.
Previous order requiring 60 votes for the adoption of this motion to concur. The motion is agreed to.
Boom. Who's that? Yeah.
Madam President,
the Majority Leader.
It's a wonderful moment, especially for all the people who have made this happen, who are observing it. Thank you.
Oh, okay, that was some of the vets that were there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, look what he did. Did he say, oh God, it's like we're all learning a lesson in fucking manners every time we turn on a Democrat. They don't say, I want to thank the people who showed up today to show the video. No, just thank you. That's how you do it.
On this vote.
Okay, that was the end of it. That's nice. 86 to 11. All right, do we have the 26 Senate Republicans, including McConnell, issued a statement saying we support Speaker of the House trip to Taiwan. That's good. When you know it, almost all of them voted against the PACT Act. Yeah, until they didn't. Do we have the, let's see. Steve Daines has voted in support of the PACT Act. Okay, who voted against it? I want to see the list of the 11. Do we have that? Good news, just passed the largest expensive benefits for vets ever. I've supported this bill consistently because healthcare for vets is too important for delay, and now it's headed to the president's desk to become law. Right on. Here there. Senators Crapo, Langford, Lee, Loomis, Rand Paul, motherfucker, Rich, Romney, Shelby, Tillis, Toomey, and Tuberville voted against it. Jesus Christ. Like, how do you... Yeah, here's the no votes. Fucking hell. Burr, Crapo, Langford, Lee, Loomis, Rand Paul, Risch, Romney, Rounds, Shelby, Thune, Tillis, Toomey, and Tuberville. Tubbyville. Yeah, I'm surprised Romney did. I'm very surprised. I mean, put a pin in you, dude. You're done. No, there's a name in here you don't see. What name don't you see? Besides, you don't see any D's. That's for fucking sure. Oh, yeah. Cruz, definitely. And you don't see McConnell. By the way, congratulations to Joe Biden for getting to sign the PACT Act, which takes the temporary and fungible money that was going to support our veterans who were exposed to toxicity in theaters of war and in the support of those areas over the years, and makes it permanent so that they can't write it out the next time around. Let's see. So you may have seen Ted Cruz and Jon Stewart fighting out about this because some Dems took extra money. I don't know enough to comment. That is not true. They fought about it, but for fuck's sake, this definitely it did not. All it did was make the money permanent, so that they don't have to vote on it again and again and again. And this is, again, remember, this is the Republican Party that Rick Scott told you is every 5 years they are going to pass a sunset law that all government programs and all government entities, all like the Department of Education, any of that shit. That's every 5 years they have to have a vote on it, or and unless they pass it, it disappears. Knowing that basically, if you don't have 60 votes to pass it, one filibuster will get rid of the program, and then by the time you get it back up and running, if you do re-vote on it, the damage is done. Especially when it's desperate people. And this is that's Toomey saying that he calls.
And what is that trick? That trick is you take a very sympathetic group of Americans. It could be children with rare diseases. It could be victims of crime. It could be veterans who are suffering an illness after having been exposed.
Oh, look at them looking up because they're there. Some of them are there. Are they here?
To toxic chemicals while serving our country. You take this sympathetic group, craft legislation to address their problems, and then sneak in something that's completely unrelated, that could never pass on its own, and dare anyone to stand up and say a word about that, because we all know if you raise the concern about the unrelated provision, people in this chamber and outside will stand up and make up all kinds of fabrications and falsehoods. They will enlist.
By the way, good job, Water Goddess.
Some pseudo-celebrities. They will get their accomplices in the media to propagate the dishonest charge that, those mean Republicans.
Hey, I've only seen this clip of him talking about this. Did he ever point out the part in the fucking bill, the line itself? Because I read it and I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. This idea that there's this creates a $400 billion slush fund or some shit is ridiculous. Is this Tester coming out? Looks like Tester.
You guys go home and you look in the mirror and you say, we did it. Sir. Democracy works because you guys did it, okay? We're going to get this done, okay?
Today, sir?
We're pushing for you. I do it yesterday or the day before.
Hey, John, when this is all over, can we hang out at your ranch?
Damn
right. Come to the victory party.
There you go. Yep. There you go. So these are the top ones. So the latest ones. Oh, here you go. This is all right.
Here since, was it a week ago? Last Thursday, Rosie was there in the heat and the rain, because that was nothing like what so many of them and so many of their colleagues experienced from the cancer.
My man in the Avengers shirt.
To chemicals, but they were there as a beacon to all of America. They said, we're not going to let you forget us. We're not going to let you walk all over us. We're not going to let you ignore the suffering that we have faced. Let this not happen again. The good news about this bill is not only does it deal with the burn pits or the Agent Orange, but all of the other kinds of toxicities, and the VA will no longer be able to say, you got to prove this, you got to hire that, you got to do this. The proof will be already there.
Your service.
So I want to thank again our veterans groups. I want to thank all of my colleagues. This was a bipartisan effort. Jerry Moran is here. Thank you for being here. And let us not ever again forget our veterans like they were forgotten when it came to burn pits. And now I want to call on John Tester, our great chair of the Veterans Committee.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, Chuck.
Shut up.
I'll do my best. I'll make this quick. We've been here how many times? More than I got fingers on my left hand, I'll tell you that. And I will tell you, we got this done, folks. We don't have to do this again, okay? All right? Couple observations really quick. Number one, I've never seen so many veterans with tears in their eyes and tears in their eyes of joy than I've seen in the last hour. And the second thing I would say is I just got off the phone with the President of the United States, and he said, thank you. This takes a big weight off of my shoulders, and he's the guy who started this ball rolling. So I just want to say, we got great senators here, and we got great directors of VSOs here, and they've done such a great job making this come to fruition. But one of the things that really, and look, I stood out here on this plaza and I watched you guys that were sleeping out here in the middle of the night when there were thunderstorms and hotter than hell during the day, and you guys made it happen. I can't thank you enough. And I will tell you, when we came out here last time, it was a morning press conference. It was after I think the vote on Wednesday night. It was Thursday morning. I was feeling low, really low. And I walked away from this microphone, and the woman, maybe here, turned around. Was it you? She turned around to me, and what's your name? Jen. Jen turned around to me and said, we're going to win this. We've been in fights before, and we're going to win this fight. And by God, you did it. All right? Did it. I just want to tell you that there's a lot of times it doesn't feel good in the United States Senate. Right. It feels good right now. 86 to 11, folks. 86 to 11. Yeah. I want to bring up Jerry Moran. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Whoops.
Look, the people I admire the most are those who served our country in the military. There's one exception to that, and it's the people who served our country in the military who now spend their lives serving other veterans. And this experience adds a second exception: the family members of those who served our nation. There is no group of people that we ought to honor and esteem more in this country for the benefits that we have as American citizens than those who served America as military men and women, those who came home and went to battle for others who served the country, and all of you who are family members of those who did. I've learned a lot in this experience in getting this piece of legislation passed, and it is the example that you gave us, which is there is no turning back, there is no giving up. We are in this until we achieve the goal that we're after, which is to make certain that those who served our country receive the benefits and receive the health care that they earned and they deserved. You all make me proud, but more importantly, you represent America and make all Americans proud for the success that you have accomplished. I appreciate my colleagues behind me and throughout the Senate who voted tonight in support of this legislation and got us to the point we are. And it's been I can't say a pleasure, that word almost came out of my mouth automatically. It's not been a pleasure working with John Tester, but it has been a successful combination to see that the end result is something you all wanted us to achieve. Congratulations. Thanks to the United States Senate for demonstrating when there's something good and a good cause, this place still works. God bless America.
If anybody exemplifies the heart and soul of this movement and the indomitable success, it's Rosie Perez. Rosie.
Torres.
Sorry.
Yeah, Perez is in his district. Oh. Yeah, I'm definitely getting misty-eyed.
13 years ago, my husband and I, we rolled our luggage down Capitol Hill. We had no idea what we were doing. We just knew that God had put something in our hearts to carry out. And we came here with the hopes that we could have faith in our congressional leadership. And today, that's what I saw. Today, what happened here, history is being made by these leaders right here, right behind me. So I want to thank each and every one of you, sir, for having faith in us, for standing up for what's right. But most importantly, the people I want to recognize are the veterans that didn't go home, the ones that walked the halls for 13 years. We walked the halls. We sometimes wanted to go home and had to tell each other, put your big boy pants on, we're not leaving. They told us to build systemic momentum. We did. And we did it for all of the fallen that are not here. This is for Wesley Black. This is for Heath Robinson. This is for Will Thompson. This is for Kate Thomas. This is for all of them. For Gina Cancellino and her family. Her husband's not here anymore. It's for your girls. You don't have to beg anymore. You're going to get help, Gina. Gina's going to get her benefits now. I want to thank Tim Jensen from Grunt Style. Tim, come here. Will Wisner. For a long time, people shut doors in our faces and they said, go build systemic momentum and come back. And I said, well, what do you want us to bring? A list of dead veterans, faces of dead? Like, what is it that Congress wants to convince you that they're sick and they're dying and they're begging for help? So I thought outside of the box and I said, let's go to some veteran entrepreneurs, some people with a platform. And we went to Tim. And Tim said, heck yeah, I'll print up some flyers and put them in all our t-shirt orders. And we created a movement. We mobilized and we organized, and here we are today. We sat on the steps, and that was Tim's idea. Tim said, we're not leaving, Rosie, even if it's just us three. We karaoke'd. Somebody from Canada delivered Crown Royal. It was a crazy, crazy night. But thank you to these senators right here that believed in us. They believed in their constituents, in their people, and they didn't turn their backs on them. That's right. So this is for all of you. God bless all of you. And John, wait, one more time. One last thing. Most importantly, Jon Stewart and John Field. Let's give it up for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you, John. I was watching the news and I saw them on TV and I said, I gotta call that guy. Those two guys right there. That's who we need to find. And they said, well, yeah, just call John Field. He answers his phone all the time. And he's like, John fucking Field, what do you want? And I said, hey, can you help us? He's like, let me talk to John. They didn't hesitate. The way they didn't hesitate with 9/11, the way they didn't hesitate to go into those buildings, Joe McKay, they said yes. And they're the reason why we're here. God bless you guys.
The two Johns, come on up. John.
There he is.
Let me just say that I think the turning point of this occurred when last week, in their anger, they let the world know what had happened. And that put the pressure on people to turn their votes around. Thank you, thank you.
Potty mouth. I want to apologize for cursing last week.
No, you didn't.
I don't know what happened. Normally, I'm very demure. Leroy, my brother. Talked to Leroy 4 years ago in my office.
Got a couple pictures.
And I made a promise to him. I said, I'm not going to let you go, my brother, and we're going to get this done. And guess what? We got it done. And Rosie and Leroy are...
We love you, Leroy.
Love you, Leroy.
Love you, Leroy. That's Leroy. But I will say this. I'm not sure I've ever seen a situation where people who have already given so much had to fight so hard to get so little. And I hope we learn a lesson.
Thank you.
Never again.
I can't apologize for cursing. You know why? Because back on June 16th, we passed the bill 84-14. Today, we passed the bill 86-11. What the fuck happened for the last 6 weeks that we're here again today? That these people had to sleep outside in the rain, in the heat. I love you guys. I love you. But that the GOP Senate made these people suffer more than they had to suffer. I took no joy in cursing last week. I take no joy now. The only joy I get is that I beat the Senate again. Again.
All right, John, you're a professional Senate.
What have we become when we lack empathy? What have we become when we don't care about another human being if they suffer, especially veterans? They're inside right now in an air-conditioned room. These people, if you smelt them, I love you, but man, you had some serious stink going on, girl.
3 days outside.
Yeah.
Where's the celebration that we're gonna have? The hard part hasn't begun. Getting a bill passed is easy. You just got to beat up the Senate or the House. But these people behind me now, they actually have to advocate. They got to take that bill from its infant stage and make sure the Congress and the VA and the Senate do the right thing. They got to do that for the rest of their fucking lives. I'm still doing it for 9/11, 21 years later. There's no joy in this. But it's the right thing to do. You know, my dear friend Ray Pfeiffer always used to say, and I miss Ray dearly, John, always do the right thing even when no one's looking. And I would argue with my dear best friend, and I would say, Ray, always do the right thing when everybody's looking. Because it causes a ripple effect. And to America, anybody with an issue, get in the face of these people.
Right.
Make them work for you. I love you guys.
We love you.
Senator Gillibrand.
This has been a heavy weight. All the families here have been carrying this weight. It's been very hard on them to not have their country have their back, to not have their country care enough to make sure they got the health care that they've already earned. And this has been a struggle for decades. It's not a new problem. We saw it with Agent Orange. We saw it with Blue Water Navy vets. We saw it with anybody who cleared up a nuclear site, anybody who cleared up a toxic waste place, anybody. And these veterans show up. They show up for one another. They're tireless. They're fearless. They never give up. They're the best of America. And so this is a day to celebrate because it's a day that Congress actually worked. Yeah. And it worked for the people who deserved it the most, the men and women who put their lives on the line for this country time and time again, never, ever complaining and never giving up. So I just want to thank Senator Schumer, Jerry Moran, John Tester, and my colleagues here for being with these veterans, for just listening, hearing your terrible stories, lifting them up, using this platform God has given us to be the person in the room to do the right thing. So thank you. God bless America. And thank you to everyone here. Thank you. Thank you.
For all of us on the Veterans Committee who work so hard and whose faith in the veterans who advocated has been affirmed, I know we have tears of joy. But in my heart, there are tears of sadness. For Peter Antiojo of Glastonbury, who died, for all who have perished already because we waited. Peter left behind Amy, his wife, his son Mark, turned 7 just recently, when he died of glioblastoma, the result of his exposure to burn pits in Afghanistan and Iraq. I have a message to the VA. You better get it right.
Yes, that's right.
You better deliver. These veterans have waited already too long. The 3 days here are emblematic of what we need to avoid going forward, and the VA for too long has been part of the problem, not the solution. There's a principle that all of us who went through basic training learned. You leave no brother or sister behind.
That's right.
You leave nobody, no matter what the hostile fire, you leave no veteran behind. These guys decided they weren't going to leave anyone behind. And the country is better for their courage, their resilience, their resolve, and they are the best in America. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan came to me from Sandusky, Ohio, several years ago and talked about her son-in-law who was sick. Her son-in-law is Heath Robinson, as you know, the Heath Robinson PACT Act. And Susan, since Heath's death, has worn this jacket.
I wore it before.
And wore it before he died. For 5 years. For 5 years she's been wearing this jacket. And on the back of the jacket it says, Specialist First Class Heath Robinson wore this uniform in Iraq. Ask me why he's dead. Vote for the SFC, Heath Robinson, honoring our PACT Act. So Susan is one of the heroes, as is her daughter Danielle. And from Ohio, Tim and Andrea and James and so many of you that have stepped up. Thank you, Tim, and made a huge difference.
Tim,
and
the guys,
everybody up here has said, as everybody's up here has said, it's the people.
Can't go
it's all
anywhere
of you
without
that
breathing
made this happen.
assistance.
We voted right. Some it took longer than others, but a new president, a new Senate, and the kind of pressure that the VSOs put forward, but all of you individually, family members, service people. Thanks for being heroes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you.
Senator Martin Heydrich in New Mexico.
I want to thank all of you who've been camped out here for the last week in the heat and the rain. Not only for making it possible to get this done, and let's be honest, none of this would have happened without your dogged determination and work, but you showed America what it looks like when our Congress works again, when our government does the right thing. This is the example This is the way it should work all the time. So thank you to all the vets who are out here in the sweltering heat. Thanks to the VSOs who had their back this whole campaign. And a special thank you to all those senators who voted the right way every single time.
Well, in conclusion, the folks behind us said they wouldn't go home until we pass this bill. Tonight, they can rest easy as they go home. We love you. Thank you. God bless.
We did it, America!
Yes, I want to say one last thing. I want to thank all of these veterans organizations that work their asses off to make this happen. Come on, guys. VFW, American Legion, DAV, Wounded Warrior Project, Reserve Organization of America, Military Officers Association, all of these organizations, they fucking kicked ass and they made it happen.
I love you all. I love you all. On June 16th, I made a mistake. I called the PACT Act a done deal, even though it had to go back to the House for reconciliation, but we knew it was going to pass. Well, then that little blue slip issue came up. But anyway, on June 16th, I retired Heath's Army jacket.
You get to retire.
But today, now I get to retire for good.
Well done,
Yeah. Yeah, take off.
There we go. Susan, you did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah. And I want to say thank you to everyone, from the media that supported us to all the VSOs, the senators, the Congress members. This was a promise Heath made me promise him, was that I would carry on his story to help these other veterans. He felt fortunate. He was dying of stage 4 lung cancer, but he was fortunate because he was active duty. So he was cared for. So this bill does not benefit my family at all. But I'm just thrilled today that it passed because we don't want to see another family suffer like ours did.
Thank you, everybody. Put them up.
Wow.
Put them up. We did it. Put them up. Put them up.
That's amazing. What a... Wow. Well, I'm a mess. I hope you guys are too. What in the world? Hold on. Woof. I'm not going back. I'm like, by the way, I know I'm a mess too. We're all crying. I was trying to, pay largely attention to what was going on there, a little bit of stuff going on in the background or whatever. And I know somebody said, this is why I'm a Democrat. This is absolutely why I'm a Democrat. And to all those who continue to doubt how difficult progress can be, especially in the face of abject opposition for purely political reasons, who can kind of shrug that off. To you, and to everybody here, I say, inspired yet? I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll do a full morning and afternoon show. I know Philip is traveling, so this might be our first day without him. He might be in Chicago already. We'll see, but he's going to be on the show on Saturday, so it'll be just the two of us tomorrow. So rest well. I'm going to take my kid to go see the Michael Jackson Cirque show. Or no, sorry, not the Beatles Love Cirque show. So we'll let you know how it is. But anyways, I adore you guys. I'm glad that I have the kind of show where in the middle of us doing our thing and me drawing attention to the lies and grotesque exaggerations of the right and their abject lack of empathy. That when something like this can happen, we can flip right over to that and just experience it together. So thank you guys so much for being regular viewers. I love sharing my time with you, but I especially love when we get to share moments like this. So thanks for being here. And I'm going to go weep. So I'll see you in the morning. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And remember, if you're ever confronted with a choice that is the lesser of two evils, choose less evil. See you tomorrow.